Jeremy guys, today I'll be talking about kids and witchcraft. There will be two videos about kids and witchcraft, one about parents and one about safety, which are the two major points that I feel are really important when an under 18 begins to practice witchcraft. What I mean by kids is under 18s or people who are seen in the eyes of the law to be children. And they will be people who still live at home with their parents or with family members or what have you, depending on the situation. They don't pay the bills, and they basically rely on the family to keep them alive, basically. But that's really what a kid is. I know people who have moved out age 16, which is quite rare, but it happens. I know people in foster care and all the rest of it, so yeah, I know all the different family situations. And in any of these situations, I think this advice would relate to, so yeah. Anyway, so basically you find out that you are a witch, or you feel like witchcraft and Wicca and paganism is the faith for you, and yeah, that's all great. You've been feeling this way for years, and then you discover there's a whole religion about it. Yes, results. And then you have to talk to your parents about it. Because if you try and hide it from them, they're gonna find out at some point. They're probably gonna find out on your internet searches, if they've got those parental settings on the family internet. What else? They'll probably find books or paraphernalia lying around that you've collected, like your crystals, like a couple of spell books, maybe you've got your grimoire and they accidentally spot it, or Book of Shadows, Book of Mirrors, whatever, and they accidentally spot it and they accidentally read a page and they're like, oh my god. But you don't want it to get to that point where they confront you and go, what's this? You're better off at a suitable time, preferably not at a big family event, preferably just you and them. Maybe you're sat having coffee with them after a shopping trip, or let me think of another issue at the time. Oh yeah, when you're sat in front of the TV and, or if just even at the dinner table, when it's just you and them, and you might say, Mum, I've found this religion called Wicca. It involves nature worship, it involves a god and a goddess, and it involves magic in the form of witchcraft, but not all people practice it, but it's something I want to do, blah 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 blah. And you have to show that you've made a mature decision of why you want to practice Wicca. So really, before you start talking to your parents about it, you really have to think about it yourself and think, right, is Wicca really for me, or is it just a phase? I know some people are like that, so don't get offended. Is it something I'm going to be practicing in the long term? And will this change my relationship with my parents, or family members, or friends, or what have you? And it's easier to just hide it away, or you might think it's easy, but they're gonna find out. They might find out if you've liked a few witchcraft groups on Facebook, or Twitter, Tumblr, and all the rest of it. And they're gonna go, so what's all this about then, Helen? And you might be a bit stumped. So it's better to sit down with them and have a mature, calm discussion about beliefs. Maybe you can do it gradually, sort of saying, oh, what do you think about God? And then say, oh, do you reckon God could be a woman? Or you could start talking about environmental issues, or animal rights issues and human rights issues. Because all these things can come together, and basically it's what paganism and Wicca and witchcraft are all about. It's about nature, it's about animal and human rights. It's about the god and the goddess. It's about magic, yes, but not as major a role. And obviously about ritual and about community. And yeah, And then after you've had these discussions with them, maybe then drop in, oh yes, this is what I practice and this is what I believe. There could be, therefore, two reactions. The first reaction is, okay, it's a bit weird, we're a bit concerned, but as long as you're being safe and you're being sensible, then we don't mind. Or you've got the other one, where they're like, no, you are not practicing witchcraft, that devil spawn in my house. So basically, when you've got the first issue, or the first reaction, that's quite a good reaction to start with. And you can actually turn around and say, okay, thanks for respecting my opinions, and thank you for being okay with it, because it means a lot. And then start establishing ground rules. Are there things that they don't want you to do? Like, how do they feel about you owning candles and incense? How do they feel about you going off to find a coven? What would they allow you to have anathema? Stuff like that. Would they allow you to have an altar, a massive altar in your room? And how would your festivities work? How would you incorporate your beliefs into family life without disrupting it too much? But then you've got the other opinion, which is devil spawn, devil worshipper, you can't have this in our house. Obviously there's going to be no reasoning. You could try and try until you go blue in the face, but it's not going to shift their opinions. And that's okay, because everyone is allowed their own opinions and their own beliefs. And that's an important thing you have to accept. Even if you don't like it and it won't sit well with you, you have to respect that. And because they're your parents, you have to respect their opinions, and you have to respect that what they say goes, as long as you're living with them. And then that's when you sort of go, right, okay. Obviously it means I can't have anything witchy in my house. It obviously means I'm not going to be able to really access witchy stuff online at home. And I'm not going to be able to really practice at home. You could still have a crystal collection, just say they look pretty. Don't go into the whole spiritual healing side of things. You could go outside more. You could go and find a special place in maybe a park or a beach or whatever naturistic thing is closest to your house, and maybe do your rituals there instead, and use things that are all around you instead of the traditional paraphernalia. Most of it's quite expensive anyway, which is why I hardly ever use official paraphernalia. Like, my chalice is obviously not one that most pagans would think of as a chalice, but hey ho. And you can still meditate at home. You could just say, I'm doing a breathing exercise to help calm me down because I'm stressed out about school or college or high school, whatever at the moment. And at the end of the day, the only reason they might react in way 1 or 2 is because they love you and because they care about you. You're their flesh and blood, and they will put you before themselves. So in every way possible, they'd push you out of the road and take the hit themselves if a car was about to speed up and run you over. If there was the choice between you eating the poison and them eating the poison, they'd do it, And it's the same in religious life. With Christian parents, they're thinking, oh my goodness, we cannot let our child walk away from the path of our path, because what if they end up having damnation? We don't want that for them. So you've got to understand that although you might think it's ridiculous and really hate it, you've got to understand where they're coming from before you start to judge. And yeah, so that's part 1 of Kids and Witchcraft. Stay tuned for part 2 and a catch-up video. Oh, blessed be.